Hello and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with a Disability Policy for All. Today we have the great fortune to be talking to Micah Murray, who is the Principal Advisor to OPM. You ask, what is OPM? It's the Office of Personal Management. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm pumped. I even got this cool mug with Tuesdays with Liz. I feel like I'm on the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. So this is exciting. I'm pumped.
We'll be talking about employment for people with disabilities. The first question I wanted to ask you is, what is OPM and what is your job?
Okay, so the United States Office of Personnel Management is a federal agency, and our job is to work with all of the federal government to help them find the people that they need to accomplish their missions. So we help federal agencies before somebody gets hired in the recruitment process. We help them while they're doing the hiring. After someone gets hired, we help bring that person on board. We work with them throughout their life cycle to make sure they've got things like health insurance and things along those lines. And we help folks through retirement. And then even after a federal employee passes away, they may still get benefits that go to their family members, and we help administer and run that. And so really, OPM helps federal employees through their entire employment cycle and supports them through all of that. And your next question was, what do I do? So that's I'm pumped about that. So my job is to work with all of the federal agencies to help them hire, retain, recruit, and honor people with disabilities inside of the federal government, because we want the federal government to be a model employer for people with disabilities. And so I help agencies do recruiting, hiring, how they retain people with disabilities, and really how we continue to honor people with disabilities, because they're an important part of the federal workforce.
Great, and we're hoping that people will have jobs.
Yes.
The next question is, what's keeping states from converting shelter workshop to more integrated settings?
Yeah. Wow. You ask hard questions. That's a really good one. What's keeping states from moving people out of sheltered workshops? I don't know that I can speak to that specifically, but I can say this, that we know when people with disabilities are given an opportunity to engage in meaningful work, that they are very successful, and it's not only good for the people with disabilities, but it also ends up being really good for business. We as people with disabilities, when given an opportunity and when a business makes a commitment to hire us, we see that people with disabilities come in and do amazing stuff in the workforce. And so we know, and we've seen from research and examples, that there are a lot of people in sheltered workshops who, when they leave and enter into competitive employment, do really, really well. And so I hope that the federal government will stand as an example of what can happen when an employer commits to hiring people with disabilities. Because we've got people with disabilities in every part of the federal government. And we've got everything that an employer needs, right? I mean, you need a lawyer. I can find a person with a disability. If you need an accountant, I can find a person with a disability who can do that job well. If you need a front-end receptionist, if you need someone to support your human resources work, anything that you need as an employer, we can find people with disabilities who will do amazing work. And that's what I hope the federal government stands and shows, so that many states will see that and value that and realize we can invest in people with disabilities, and it's a good investment.
Okay, great. In an earlier episode, we talked about the curb cut initiative that the White House developed or started. Why is this important?
Yeah, so the Curb Cuts to the Middle Class initiative was started by a number of federal agencies who were coming together and saying, what can we do to help more people with disabilities enter the workforce? And they've done some really cool stuff, and OPM has been honored to be a part of that initiative. Some of their work has focused on federal contractors as part of Section 503 of the Rehabilitation Act, which is a part of a law that helps people with disabilities. And that really focuses on getting federal contractors to hire people with disabilities. But there's also a part of the focus which pertains or connects to what's called an executive order by President Obama. And an executive order is when the president tells federal agencies to do some specific things. And in this case, the president in 2010 signed an executive order telling federal agencies that they need to be a model employer for people with disabilities, and setting some goals and some outlines on how they were going to do that and how they were going to recruit, retain, and honor people with disabilities. And so again, that's a big part of my job, is working with agencies to implement that, and Curb Cuts has been a supporter along with a number of other agencies who have helped us implement this. And we're seeing great success. Did you know that we currently have more people with disabilities working for the federal government now than at any point in history, at any point in the past 34 years, by percentage and by real number? We hired a higher percentage of people with disabilities than at any point in history. And I think it just goes to prove the point that regardless of what kind of employer you are, regardless of what kind of jobs you have, if you commit to hiring us as people with disabilities, we're going to deliver. We're going to give you what you need. And I think for all of your viewers, that's an important perspective for us as people with disabilities to have, that when we walk into an interview, we're there because we've got something valuable to offer to that business, that we can be an important part of their teams. Given a chance, we're going to do great stuff. And that's the kind of attitude that I think all of us as people with disabilities see success when we adopt that. And so that's a little bit about the Curb Cuts and a little bit about the executive order on hiring people with disabilities. And again, though, I think it proves this bigger point. When you commit to hiring people with disabilities, disability community is going to do what? We're going to deliver what the business needs.
That's great.
I agree, it's great.
And I'm really excited about the prospects of, or the hope of where things are going in the disability movement regarding employment.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions? Is there anything that I have missed or that you would like to talk about in the next few minutes that we have?
Sure. So one thing that I did want to mention is that the federal government is definitely looking for people with disabilities. We want people with disabilities. It's not always an easy process to get into the federal government. It can be very competitive. But we are, as I said, seeing people with disabilities being hired into the federal government. And so I just want to give two quick things that you guys can look up and learn some more about if you're interested in applying for federal employment. The first one is called Schedule A. Now, Schedule A is a way that a person with a disability can apply to a job in the federal government. It's really outstanding and can really help you move forward. And you can learn more about that by visiting opm.gov/schedule opm.gov/disability. Again, opm.gov/disability, and you can learn more about Schedule A. But then also, I want to mention that thousands of jobs are posted on usajobs.gov. usajobs.gov. And you can go on there and apply for federal jobs using your resume and other things to look for federal employment and find great opportunities. So I would encourage everybody who's interested to check those resources out. We in the federal government are here. We want people with disabilities, and we want to encourage and support folks. So we're going to help make that happen. So that's it. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. And we'll make sure that we put this, the two links, on the website.
Great.
Thank you. And, if you have any questions about this or any other policy issues, please look on the AUCD webpage and look for this week's In Brief. And if you have any questions or comment about this edition of Tuesday with Liz, please leave them in the space below. Thank you and have a nice day, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks again, Michael.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. It was a pleasure.
Bye.